The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. At that time, Jesus went to a town called Nain, and his disciples and a great crowd went with him. As he drew near to the gate of the town, behold, a man who had died was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and a considerable crowd from the town was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said to her, "Do not weep." Then he came up and touched the bier, and the bearers stood still. And he said, "Young man, I say to you, arise." And the dead man sat up and began to speak, and Jesus gave him to his mother. Fear seized them all, and they glorified God, saying, "A great prophet has arisen among us, and God has visited his people." And this report about him spread through the whole of Judea and all the surrounding country. The Gospel of the Lord. So a very beautiful moment in the Gospel of Luke. And so at this moment, the Lord is now traveling with his disciples, and it seems is intentionally, at least according to what Luke says, he went to a town called Nain. So he's going there with intention, and the intention seems to be this, to meet this mother who is coming out from the city with her son, and the one who is coming out in sorrow. And so it's interesting that we have this reading after we celebrate Our Lady of Sorrows, right? The sorrowful heart of Our Lady. And we now come and we celebrate, in a certain sense, with this reading, something that I think must have, at least in the Lord's own heart, touched him because of the amount of parallel there was between this woman's experience and his own mother. And he is the only one who sees what will happen, right? So he knows his death. He sees it as God. He knows even what the suffering is that will come for his own mother. And I'm sure that at least in part, what he sees in this widow moves his heart because of how much she resembles his mother at the foot of the cross. And so what we see here then, if you go, what I was doing yesterday is looking at the meaning of some of the words, and one of the meanings that struck me was the name of the city is Nain, and that word, it means beauty or beautiful, right? Beauty or beautiful. And so what you have is at this arrival at the city which is called beautiful, you immediately encounter this sorrow and death. And so it becomes very representative of the fallen human state, which is that from what God created, which is good and beautiful, the introduction of sin brings death. And so there is a certain tainting, if you will, of what is beautiful in God's creation. But the Lord has come to restore, and he's not only come to give life. What we see in this beautiful encounter is that he has come to restore joy. He has come to remove sorrow. And so not only does he come to take away sin, but also one of the consequences of sin, which is the sorrow that comes from the consequences of sin, and namely death, right? How we mourn in death. And the Lord is very always moved by this. What we can see is, even remember with Lazarus, is that the Lord is also moved. He is deeply moved by the sorrow of his friends and by the death of his friend. Not because he has no hope, right, as some interpreters comment, right, which is ridiculous, this is the Lord, but simply because he shares in the sorrow of the consequences of sin, and the sorrow that it brings, and the pain that it brings. And he comes to alleviate that and to bring life. So not only in this scene does he bring life, but he also restores the joy in the heart of the mother. And so this is also something I think that moves him in her regard, is also then what he does for his own mother at his passion, that she, as she experiences the pain of the loss of her only son, she who is also a widow and has lost her husband, he then restores that joy to his own mother's heart by his resurrection, by the resurrection from the dead and the coming back to life. And that's what he does in this moment with this widow, is that in her sorrow, he restores her joy by the resurrection of her son, bringing him back to life and giving her, it says, and he gave her back to his mother. It's like this gift back to this sorrowful heart of this woman to restore her joy. And so the Lord is, in the same sense, doing that for all of us in terms of his passion, which is that the young man, Christ himself, who suffered and died for us and then is raised, is given back to us as a gift. He's given back to us for the consolation of our heart. He's given back to us for our joy. And that is all what happens here in the mystery of the Mass. And so it's just, I think, a reminder is that the Lord is, in his miracles, he is restoring the beauty of his creation, but he is also not only bringing back life and conquering sin, but he also wants joy in the heart of those who follow him. And it is a lasting joy that he wants, not a temporary joy in temporal and passing things, but a lasting joy in the fact that we receive the one who is raised for our sake, the one who is given to us as a gift, and that is most truly, as we've said so often, given to us here in the moment of Holy Communion. This is the moment of our joy, where the resurrected Christ is given to us and where he dwells in us. And if we suffer and die with him, then we also have the joy of and the hope of rising with him. Amen.